Bear with me tonight. I will sound like a broken record, but some things are important, so important that they bear repeating. I'm talking about COVID-19 again. But who can blame me? Because from the last time I spoke about this, which was 7 days ago, not much has changed. So how can we stop talking about this when our positivity rate is still so far from the desirable 5% and below? How can we not repeat the war cry when 13 counties in the Western region are still under tight restrictions to this day? Lest we forget, they are still under a 7 p.m. curfew. Are we to forget that 16 months since we reported our first case, some counties are still heavily affected economically with tighter restrictions on how people conduct business? Ladies and gentlemen, of the many things we have learned about this pandemic, one that stands out for me is that no county is safe until all counties are safe. That could be said of countries too. You see, when the restrictions on the 4 counties of Nairobi, Machakos, Kiambu and Nakuru were lifted, we thought we were out of the woods, only for things to flare up in the western counties. This is why we must pull together. Because how you conduct yourself in Kilifi affects those in Marsabit. How one behaves in Marsabit affects another in Nairobi or Murang'a or even in Suba. And just in case the 4th wave predicted by KEMRI that has seemingly delayed may fool us into a false sense of security, let me give you some more global perspective. The latest numbers coming out of the African CDC have Kenya making an appearance, and not in a good way. Kenya has recorded an average 4% increase in new infections over the last 1 month and an average 33% increase in the number of new deaths during the same period. Back home, I know we've become numb to the daily statistics, but today's numbers are not good. 801 more people have tested positive for the virus. Our positivity rate is at 13.7%. Another 15 deaths have been recorded. These numbers are sobering for a country that sometimes looks like we're getting back to normal. We are not. Far from it. Our lives will have to change considerably and in some aspects permanently. I know the President indeed gave us some hope in his 16th address to the nation in what he called the acceleration doctrine. President Uhuru Kenyatta announced that we will have vaccinated our entire adult population of 26 million Kenyans by the end of next year, and that by August, that is just a few weeks away, we will have the capacity to vaccinate up to 150,000 Kenyans a day. There is the fill and finish concept by BioVac for the Pfizer vaccine in South Africa that promises to ensure a more steady supply. And we also understand that Kenya is hopefully next in line for the same. Now, all of this is great, and we pray that it all happens as planned. But we must never forget that the global supply chain is still fairly erratic. And because we are relying on other countries, we can't rest easy until we see the consignment land at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. That is why we must continually return to the basics. Masking up, social distancing, and washing of hands. These measures do not depend on a foreign power. They are within the power of individuals. After all, even the vaccines, when we finally have them, will not necessarily be the silver bullet. You see, they don't prevent infections, but enable your body to easily identify and fight the virus should you contract it, thereby reducing severity of the disease and reducing the chances of hospitalization and even death. We'll continue to keep our eye on the promises made by the government and continue to hold them to account in keeping us safe. But we must also play our part. Because you see, of all the uncertainty in the world right now, what's for sure is this: COVID-19 is here to stay for a very long time. And therefore, we must learn to live with it. Not by acting like we don't even know it exists, but by doing what we must. So please, mask up, wash your hands, and stay safe, everyone.